Celtic captain Scott Brown says he'd love it if a gay footballer felt comfortable enough to come out at hoops. Now then, what do we think would happen if a Celtic first team player did come out? And apart from that issue, why is it so different in the women's game, where nobody bats an eyelid at same-sex relationships? Let's try and deal with those two meaty subjects.
I think it would be tricky for a male professional player at the club to come out. I think it would initially be tricky. However, I think after that initial challenge, that it would quickly become something that was just the norm. Now, he would be invariably subjected to chants from away fans. That happens in a whole range of reasons, none of them acceptable. But I do think it would move on quickly. I think it would move on quicker than we realise. And I think in terms of the wider community, there would be more support and acknowledgement and recognition than there would be discrimination. Culturally, I just think the women's game is different. I did play football when I was younger, not at any high level. And women's football does seem to attract more LGBT women. I don't know the logistics or the genetics or the politics of that. It just does. And there is much more recognition of same-sex relationships in the women's game. But I also think the profile of the women's game, particularly again, coverage, Sky, etc., has really pushed that on as well. And the fact that we've got the Euros just now, and almost, well, actually every live game has a female commentator in it, a notable female commentator. So I just think the profile of the women's game has sort of assisted that visibility as well.
Stephen, do you think there's anything innate in the nature of Celtic that would make our club a better environment for that sort of seismic thing to happen, where a player is comfortable enough to say, before I retire, when I'm still in the middle of my career, to come out as gay?
Well, there should be, because, as Maggie said already, that's the nature of the club. Inclusivity and acceptance should be the nature of what Celtic are all about. I mean, I've said this on other podcasts regarding other issues, but we've got some words emblazoned above the main door at Celtic Park that say we're a club like no other. So you either believe that or you don't. And to me, these sort of things sum up what that actually means. We should be more accepting and more inclusive than other clubs, and that's what makes us a club like no other. And either it's just corporate twee, or it's real. And for me, and the way I was brought up in the Celtic family, it's real. And this sort of thing makes it real. In terms of what would happen, I agree with Maggie. There would be a little bit of trouble to start with, but I think the Green Brigade in particular would get round this player. And like anything else the Green Brigade do, it would spread throughout the club pretty quickly. And I think, it wouldn't be as big an issue as it was at any other club. I mean, we had a player here in Australia, I don't know if you're aware of him, Maggie, called Josh Carvalho.
Yeah,
who came out, plays for Adelaide United here in the A-League, and he came out a couple of years ago. And although, a lot of people's view of Australia is it's a very, accepting and inclusive society, it's also a very Christian society. So he did get a little bit of abuse from various fan groups. But 2 years down the line, it's kind of just died a death, and nobody really bothers now. It just is what it is, basically. And I noticed Josh is over at the Euros just now. Seen his picture on social media with Jurgen Klopp. So Josh, he's doing well, and I'm glad to see it. And it would be great if we could see more gay footballers coming out and feeling comfortable enough to do that while they're still playing.